Hello, this is Pam with Jumpstart Code. Today I want to talk about initially connecting your HTML file to JavaScript. There are actually a couple of ways to do this. And one of the things that I always like to focus on is making sure you understand the reason behind things or the rules in order to make a decision about the way you want to do things. Now, I have a very basic, very simple file set up here that we're going to be working with. I wanted to just go ahead and type it up. You can easily pause the video so that you can type this up as well. What we have here is your basic skeleton for an HTML file, which starts with doctype HTML. Then you have your HTML tag. You notice there's the opening and there's the closing tag. So your entire document is within these HTML tags. Within your HTML tag, you always have a head section. There's the closing head tag, and a body section. There's the closing body tag. I only have a couple things in here. In the head section, I have a title. The title is basically what is the text that will be on your tab in your browser. So you can make this whatever you want. In the body, I have an H1 that just says JavaScript Lesson 1. And you'll notice I have an H2 here that has no content inside of it. We're going to actually put content here using JavaScript. So that means I'm going to have to target this particular element, and I've added an ID to this element so that I can target it. So then I've got JavaScript. Now, it is possible to put JavaScript commands inside of your HTML document. They would go inside of script tags. Although the syntax inside of that is completely different because the syntax in here is JavaScript syntax, which is very different. So I'm doing one thing in here. I want to do just basically your basic Hello World program. So I want to put Hello World into this H2 element. The way you actually reference an element on your HTML page, one of the ways, because there are many, is using the ID. And remember that an ID needs to be unique. You should only have one element that has any given ID. So there is a method, document.getElementById. So it's very particular. Notice in terms of syntax, you have to be mindful of this capital E, this capital B, this capital I. That's all part of the syntax. In parentheses and in quotes, you specify the name of the ID. So this is targeting the H2 element that has this ID. Now, what do I want to do with that element? I want to put some content inside of here. The same way this H1 element has some content that I typed in here, I want JavaScript to put content inside of this element. So I'm going to reference the inner HTML. So document getElementById message dot inner HTML. Notice the capital HTML. JavaScript is a case-sensitive language, and so you have to be mindful of this. I want to assign some text to this particular position. So the equal operator is the assignment operator. So what I want to put in there is this text, hello world. Essentially, it would be as if I did this. That's what this statement, document.getElementById, is going to do for me, is put that content inside of this tag as if I typed it in, right? So that is all we're going to do to start. All right, so let's save this. And let me go find my file. So that file here is lesson1.html. And I'm going to have, here's my Chrome window. So if I go here, right click on my file, open with Chrome, and you'll see there is what we got, right? Let me actually adjust my windows a little bit here. So notice the hello world was placed into my page by this JavaScript command. And also notice the title JS Basics 1 is here in my tab, right? Now, so it is possible, but it is more preferable to separate your JavaScript commands into a separate file. One of the main reasons is because it is different syntax. And so you can get yourself a little confused having to go between HTML syntax and JavaScript syntax. So you can take this file and save it as another file, which I have here. I just made a copy of it. That's called lesson2.html. I changed the title to Basics 2. I changed this title to Lesson 2. And I am going to, so I commented out this, I'm actually going to delete it. Here was my original script that was at the bottom of this page. Instead of my script going there, I actually want to put it in a separate JavaScript file. So I've got a file, I created a new file, lesson2.js. I'm going to take this off for a second. And the first thing that you want to do is make sure that this file is connected. So using strict, this is something I'll talk about more later, but this just helps in terms of getting error messages in your code. So it's a good idea to have using strict on. That means the error messages come up more. Then this is an alert. This would be alert or window.alert. This just pops up a little pop-up window. The first thing you always want to do is just make sure you've made the connection. So how do I connect this file with my HTML file? With a script here. And I'm going to put this script at the top of my page in the head section. Script source src equals, and this is the name of my JavaScript file, right? So I'm going to save this, and now I am going to open lesson 2. All right, so you see this pop up here? This is what tells me that my file is actually connected, because one thing that can easily happen is a typo. Okay, if I make this a typo in my file name and I come over here and I refresh the page, I don't see a connection. So it's very important to make sure that your file is connected before you start thinking that there are errors in your JavaScript code. So I always just do this alert statement first to confirm that my connection is correct, right? So now I'm going to take this statement that I had in the script file and move it into my JavaScript file. And I'm actually going to delete this whole script section from here. Right? So again, it allows you to really separate your front end HTML from your JavaScript. So here's my front end. I still got this H2. Here's my JavaScript where I'm putting code in there. Now, let's save this. Let's go and let's refresh. All right, my page is connected, but where is my hello world? I'm not seeing it. Well, there's a small problem here. I'm going to actually comment that out. Now, when your JavaScript is not working, what you must do is right-click and inspect your page. And you want to be using Chrome to do this. And go to the console. And you'll see here that I have an error. The error says, cannot set property inner HTML of null at line 4 in this JavaScript. So let's go see what's in line 4. That's this. Well, there's a funny little thing going on. When you load your JavaScript here, your JavaScript and your HTML are loading at the same time. In this case, JavaScript finished first, and I was trying to reference this element on the page, but the HTML had not completed yet. So to fix that, I'm going to add the statement defer. This means don't start this script until the HTML is completed. So let's save that, refresh the page, and you'll see now that it works, right? I also could, instead of putting this script statement here, I could put it at the very bottom of my body. And if I do that, I won't need defer because it won't execute until the HTML has completed loading. And so now, if I refresh the page, you'll see it also works. All right, so basically we've seen several ways to connect your JavaScript. You can put your actual JavaScript commands here inside of your document in a script tag. You can connect it. Sorry, I meant to get rid of this if we're going to do the last one. So let's just make sure that we know we're running here. You could put your script at the top, but you want to use the defer keyword if you do that. Or you can put your script tag at the very bottom, and you won't have to use defer if you put it at the very bottom. And that works as well. So those are 3 methods of connecting your JavaScript.